Let's go now to our Washington studio and speak with Yoram Schweitzer. He heads the program on terrorism and low-intensity conflict at Tel Aviv's Institute for National Security Studies. We're jumping now from the White House back to Spain. Reportedly, the CIA, this is Spanish media reporting that the CIA did give Spain some kind of warning ahead of time, that there was a related incident on Wednesday, that house explosion we now know about, and that the driver of the van managed to escape. In your eyes, is there a security failure here, or is this another attack that we can't expect security forces to prevent?
We still don't know the details, so it might be part of it a failure, but I think you have in these three incidents components of the fight against terrorism. One was a working accident. The second one was an operation that was unfortunately executed and killed many people and wounded many people. And the third one basically was intercepted, although they went on their way, but it was of course intercepted and prevented from causing a much more severe damage.
We heard from President Trump some of those initial reactions that Dan Raviv just took us through, but also echoing this same sort of message that he continues to say, radical Islamic terrorism must be stopped, and he says the courts must give us back our protective rights. Do those kinds of legal issues read to you as something that is key in this fight for terrorism? How do you interpret that reaction?
I don't want to analyze Mr. Trump's reaction. I think it's not helpful to the fight against terrorism. Indeed, the legal sentences, the length of the sentences of those who are involved in terrorism is part of the fight against terrorism. I hope that nobody implies on making very harsh rules in these democratic states. I don't think it will help. But it's only one part of the fight against terrorism, and I think it's better that President Trump will close the ranks with its allies in Western Europe in all kinds of spheres, not only in CT, in order to help the Europeans to face the challenge that they are facing now.
If we're looking at the different fronts of that challenge, we know that as the Islamic State terror group loses ground in Iraq and Syria, they're believed to have shifted to other strategies like what we saw in Barcelona. Is that the case in your eyes? Where do you think that fight is going in the future?
First of all, we have to understand, when we look at the fight that the Islamic State and its supporters are launching, there were operations, or there have been operations that were initiated, planned, accompanied, and executed by people who belong to the Islamic State. There were operations that were held by local people with help of enablers from Syria, the headquarters, and there were some networks that are inspired by the Islamic State without a direct link. We still don't know to which of these patterns this specific cell in Spain belonged. We have still to see. But this is something that we should expect. Many attacks are being aborted. Some are being executed, unfortunately.
Yoram Schweitzer in Washington, thanks very much for joining the conversation.